If the fire chief came to your door and told you that there was a major fire just on the other side of that hill, and it would likely come down and consume your home, I have no doubt but that you would jump into action. But that is not what has happened these past 6 decades, when the world's leading climate scientists have been knocking on all of our doors, telling us that global warming is fast approaching, and that all our houses, all our homes, including our global home, will soon be on fire. And because of our collective failure these past 6 decades to take incremental actions, we now have to take very significant actions this decade. We are now literally at the crossroads. And what we do or do not do this decade will determine our future and the lives of those who follow us. Humans have lived on our small planet for 300,000 years, and for nearly all of those years, the natural world played a major role in everyone's life. The natural world was respected and at times feared. But since the advent of the consumer age, we have behaved as if we could exploit the natural world without consequence. We happily use fossil fuels to produce all the products we wanted. But all those products have come with unintended consequences. The release of billions of tons of fossil fuel gases that directly cause global warming and indirectly climate change. And the truth is that humans are not ultimately in control. Mother Nature is, or as I like to say, Mother Nature bats last. The challenge before us now is how to get off of fossil fuels as fast as humanly possible. To accomplish this, I believe we face 2 obstacles, both created by humans and thus can be changed by humans. The first is our lack of individual, collective, and political will to focus on the crisis at hand and take concerted actions. The second is the fact that we are addicted to all the benefits that fossil fuels give us, which has created a deeply embedded economic system that now has to be changed in some areas. I'm referring to the fossil fuel and related industries seeking to maximize their profits, U.S. voters demanding that their elected officials cater to their current wants and needs, and politicians pandering to the current wants of voters in order to get elected. This deeply embedded system provides $20 billion each year in subsidies to the fossil fuel industry that could be used to shift our economy towards renewable sources of energy. And because of the 30 billion tons of fossil fuel emissions that the world's industries and consumers rather unconsciously continue to spew into the atmosphere year after year, the future to the mid-century is already baked in. Our goose has already been partially cooked. These are the best predictions to mid-century and to the end of this century by America's leading climate scientists. The Earth's atmosphere by mid-century will warm up at least 2 degrees Fahrenheit and as much as 3 degrees. By 2100, our atmosphere will rise a minimum of 3 degrees Fahrenheit and as much as 7 degrees Fahrenheit. And that will probably wipe out much of the Earth's 7.7 billion people. If those numbers don't concern you, I request that you think again. The world's temperature in Fahrenheit has only risen 2.5 degrees since 1880. And that relatively small rise in temperature has caused catastrophe after catastrophe, from desertification to forest fires, from hurricanes to storm surges. Just imagine a rise of 3 degrees more by mid-century and 7 degrees more over the course of the next 80 years. The good news is that your actions this decade can avoid far greater global warming over the second half of this century. We all can help bend the curve if we have the will to do so. There are a great many things that you can do in your personal, community, and professional lives to solve this problem, but I am only going to focus your attention today on your considerable power to get corporations to become a major part of the solution. Corporations are critical to the solution, and many forward-thinking corporations have already been taking major steps to reduce their CO2 emissions from their own facilities and throughout their supply chain. They deserve your support. They deserve your business. And corporations are far more nimble than politicians in Washington in making scientific rather than politically based decisions. Corporations have no desire to do harm. They're interested in making a profit by responding to market opportunities and reducing any risks that threaten their bottom line, which includes risks to their reputation, their brand, and the risks posed to their continued business viability by their customers, employees, and investors are where you have far greater power than you may realize. You may recall a U.S. apparel company which was accused of using slave labor in Asia. Their shocked customers reacted by refusing to buy their products. Because of this threat to their brand and profits, the company established a sustainability initiative to change practices that were damaging to people and the natural world. Recall the pressure from students and alumni that caused hundreds of U.S. colleges and universities to divest their fossil fuel holdings. I urge that you become activists and boycott companies whose practices, such as banks who finance oil and gas exploration, are damaging our planet and your future. I urge that you who are employed by businesses become entrepreneurs inside your company and get them to look at the fossil fuels that they are using with an eye to shifting to renewables. Don't assume that corporations consciously choose to be part of the problem. Just support them in becoming part of the solution. I believe we now have momentum on our side. The public is finally becoming aware of the messages that many of us have been sending to anybody who would listen. And corporations realize that they need to be ahead of this issue or face major pushback from their customers, their employees, and their investors. The percentage of Americans who are either alarmed or concerned about climate change has jumped to 54% in the last 2 years. And I am sure it will continue to grow. The question before us is how to move those that are concerned to take action now. I urge that you focus on taking action as if your life depended upon it. The fire is fast approaching right over that hill, and it will affect the lives of your children and grandchildren if you do not take action this decade and beyond. You have all the power you need right in your own hands. Thank you. Be well, and please focus on giving this gift to future generations.